again and welcome to another episode of Mindfulness, week 50, Noticing Comparison. And the quote for the week: a flower does not think of competing to the flower next to it. It just blooms. By Zen Shin. We compare ourselves to others. It's human nature. We want to know where we rank in the pecking order. We want to feel included, worthy, equal, or even superior. Sometimes comparison motivates us to be or do better, but more often it causes suffering. We want what we don't have and feel inferior as a result. We project our feelings about ourselves onto others by expressing resentment, jealousy, or contempt. This adds more suffering and separates us further from ourselves and others. Comparison and mindfulness cannot coexist. Comparison robs us of the present moment and deprives us of joy. It ignites a spark of negativity in our minds that can lead to ruminating and anxiety. It pulls away from gratitude for what we have right here, right now. This week, you will notice how you compare yourself to others and the emotions behind comparisons. As you shine the light of awareness on this tendency, you can mindfully bring your attention back to a more positive mindset. Day 1 journal prompt. Today I contemplate where and how I tend to compare myself to others. These are the ways I compare myself. Day 2 journal prompt. Looking at this list of ways I compare myself, I consider the self-defeating thoughts and feelings that motivate my comparisons. These are the thoughts and feelings behind my comparisons. Day 3 journal prompt. Today, I choose to focus on my strengths and aptitudes rather than what I am lacking, to see how much I have and how grateful I feel. This is a list of my strengths and aptitudes. Day 4 journal prompt. Today, I focus on intangible treasures in my life that I have access to at any time, like love, empathy, selflessness, generosity, and how I can increase these higher pursuits. These are the pursuits I choose and how I focus more on them. 5 journal prompt. Today, I think about outcomes I want to achieve and shift my attention from the outcome to the process. I look for the joy in doing rather than getting what I want. These are the ways I can find joy in the process. Day 6 journal prompt. Today, I think about someone I perceive as better than me or having something I want. I view them through a more realistic lens, thinking about their humanness and the frailties that all people share. I feel empathy and compassion to them rather than envy or resentment. This is what I noticed. Day 7 journal prompt. Today I focus on finding inspiration from those I tend to compare myself to, rather than feeling longing or jealousy. This is how they inspire me. And the Bible verse for this week. In Galatians 6, verses 4 and 5, pay careful attention to your own work, for then you will get the satisfaction of a job well done, and you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else. For we are each responsible for our own conduct. And the reflective questions for this verse. Where am I focused on others' paths instead of my own purpose? How can I measure success through faithfulness rather than comparison? What unique gifts or work has God entrusted me to cultivate? And the spiritual insight for this verse. Comparison distracts us from divine calling. Galatians reminds us that satisfaction is born from authenticity, not superiority. When you tend your own garden, you bloom freely without envy or pride. God calls you to steward your gifts, not to mirror another's. Joy flourishes where contentment takes root. And in Philippians 4, verses 11 and 12, I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. And the reflective questions for this verse. In what areas of life am I struggling to feel content? How can gratitude transform feelings of lack into peace? What does learning contentment look like as a daily practice? And the spiritual insight for this verse: contentment isn't a natural state, it's learned through surrender. Comparison thrives on the illusion of not enough. But when we root our worth in God rather than outcomes or appearances, peace replaces striving. Mindfulness deepens this peace by awakening you to the fullness of now. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 14 through 18, for the body does not consist of one member, but of many. But as it is, God arranged the members in the body, each of them he has chosen. And the reflective questions for this verse: how do I see myself as an essential part of God's greater design? When have I overlooked my own value while admiring in others? What unique purpose or strength might God be expressing through me right now? And the spiritual insight for this verse: each of us plays a sacred role in the tapestry of creation. Comparison fractures unity by convincing us we're not enough. But in God's design, every part has a purpose. Mindfulness reminds us to honor our individuality, neither elevating nor diminishing ourselves, but finding harmony in divine interconnection. Comparison clouds the beauty of who we already are. Mindfulness and scripture both teach us to return to awareness, to see that our worth isn't measured by what others have or achieve, but by how deeply we live in gratitude and purpose. As you notice moments of comparison this week, breathe gently, return to the present, and remind yourself, I am exactly where I am meant to be. And the closing affirmation this week: I release comparison and embrace contentment. I am growing, blooming, and becoming, all in God's perfect time. Thanks for watching until the end. I'd love to know what you thought about the video layout this week. Drop a line below. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to check out the description box for the following links: to my ebook, Finding Your You-Ness, Journey to Self-Mastery. And I'd like to personally invite you to join my weekly prayer and support group Zoom meeting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. Both the ebook and the weekly group will guide you while providing the encouragement and empowerment that we all need but don't like to ask for. Thanks again for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your presence here is greatly appreciated, and your engagement on this channel helps others to find its content for their own benefit, all part of the collective healing efforts across the globe. Namaste, namasko.